here to talk not only about the manual. You heard the wonderful introduction we have about the manual, but we also are here today to talk about other tools that we have, that we encourage. Do you mind just... Sorry, thank you. No, that's perfect, that's perfect. But we also are, part of our workshop, the first part is to talk about parents and talking to parents. As we know that sometimes that's one of the hardest things to do. Just try to talk to parents and acknowledge all the wonderful things their children are doing, but also to acknowledge some of the needs that the children might have and how to do that and how to help them and guide them through the service and the system, which we all know that the system, you need experience to know how to do so, okay? So, we just thought that we will again show you how the website, the connectability website will look like. It's a very easy to access. This card is the best. I would suggest put it in your daily book, in your agenda, have it there all the time. You just need to type the website, and you're right there for many, many wonderful resources in there. And the manual is right there. So our agenda today, sorry, I forgot to mention, you will see a lot of the pictures from the manual right here. We're using them just to be consistent with our wonderful resource. And thank you, Jason, too, for doing that. Our agenda for today, we are going to mention which sections of the manual we will be talking about. Not all the sections, because it's only an hour and a half, so we will have 3 sections that we will discuss. We are talking about the parenting with parents, tools, like the communication checklist that I'm sure all of you are really familiar. We're just going to go through it very quickly. NDDS and screen. We know that all of you know the NDDS screen. However, today we're going to show you something really cool that we discovered that it's out there new. And I know you're going to be very excited to see it too. We're going to talk about the ASQ, and when we get there I'll tell you, for those of you who are not familiar with the ASQ, what it is. And last but not least, On Track, which is another wonderful resource from Best Start. And I've been finding I do a lot of workshops for professionals, and I find sometimes they don't know about this wonderful resources online. And they're free. You just have to go online or print the manual online. And they have a lot of information in there. So I thought that I will add that to the presentation for you today. We're going too fast because we're very conscious about the time, please put your hand up and let us know, and we'll slow down a little bit. Any questions so far about the agenda? Good. So, here's the table of contents that the one that the manual will have. I know the print is really small, but we wanted to take a snapshot the same way you will see it in the manual. Here's our wonderful technology with error, telling us what we are going to be talking about. So we will focus on section 2, which is including all parents and caregivers. Our section 4, early identification, and that's why we brought the screen tools that I mentioned before. And early intervention, we will touch briefly on that, but we will also mention about what is out there for parents and for you too. So first of all, I wanted to start, and this is very close to my heart because as you know, if you know me, I'm an immigrant. I was not born in Canada, and I've been in Canada for about 12 years. And when I was doing a little bit of search for information, and when I was reading the manual as well, we found information about how important is to be aware of the diversity, and especially the parents that we are having the system, the services, their own values, their own beliefs, before we jump into conclusions, into stigmatizing some of the needs that we might see ability of the children. So I just thought that it would be wonderful to just put in the presentation this wonderful little quote from On Track Manual, as I said at the beginning. And I'm just going to read briefly the one that I really, really like. Becoming cultural aware involves the ability to stand back and become aware of one's own culture, values, beliefs, and perceptions. And this is really important for all of us to do. And I know you all do a wonderful job. But every time that you have the children with different abilities, with different needs, with different distresses. I learned just last week, and we were in a meeting, and we were talking about behavior problems and behavior problems and behavior problems. And somebody said to us, well, let's stay back for a little bit and let's stop talking about behavior problems. Let's start working with our language, professional language. Let's talk about distresses. And that to me was, I wrote it down. Listen, from now on, I'm going to try my best to start saying distresses instead of behavior problems. So when we're thinking that these children and these families have different needs or distresses or abilities, let's stop for a bit and think about their cultural beliefs, their cultural needs, and all that. And that is a very important part in the manual as well, the acknowledging the knowledge of diversity. So I just wanted to bring that first. Then we have a wonderful part in the manual that talks about how to talk to parents, how to communicate with parents. And we're not talking here, how can I tell a parent that the child has a speech delay? Not necessarily, but how we plan that. When you see a red flag, we don't need to tend to go and jump into a conclusion or say, you know what, we have this screen here. It would be very good if we could sit and do it. The manual and On Track and a lot of research says we need to stop a little bit and we need to plan what we're going to say, how we're going to address that issue, what I'm going to have in my little folder or binder that I can share with that family. And then we will share that information with the parents. Instead of saying, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to give them, I am going to share. And I think it's going back to the language, the professional language that we are using with the parents. Am I going too fast? No. Just let me know if it hurts okay. And then when you talk about sharing, the first thing we want to do is acknowledge feelings. It's the same as when you don't feel really well. The first thing you want somebody to do is to acknowledge you, how the way you feel. If you're frustrated, if you're sad. The same way with parents, acknowledge the feelings. And then talk with, not at. So with them. You are going to have a conversation with them. You're not going to tell them any specific information. It's something that you will do jointly. Then there is a wonderful, wonderful part in the manual, and I put it there with highlighted because this is really, really important for us, and I'm sure for all of your programs, and it's on section number 4. And you have this on your slides, but when you get to the manual, you will see a little bit there. It's called Early Identification, including children with special needs, is the name of the guide. Look at that title, Avoid Using Labels. We're not here to use labels for our children, we're here to support the families, right? And avoid using labels when discussing your observations with parents. Instead, describe the characteristics or behaviors. This is what the manual has, but again, as we're working, we're trying to say distresses. And that you have observed. And this goes really well with the ministry documents as well, that when they are now talking a lot about our observations, and the observations we're having for the children and for the families, and how we can guide them and help them avoiding the labels. because we don't know really. We're not here to diagnose, and we're going to see that in a minute. So, as some of you know, I am trained Hannah's Learning Language and Loving It programs, facilitator. So I tend to take whatever I learned anywhere, and that's particular training, Learning Language and Loving It, or any of those trainings. They give us a lot of good strategies to work with parents, children, and professionals. So what I did for today is I thought, those are strategies that we know for You Make a Difference, for Learning Language and Loving It. I can use them today with all of you. So this is from Hannah, and how to share news with parents. So we first observe, wait, and listen, which you might know. Do you know how they use it as the acronym? OWL. Oh, thank you, Dave, for the sound effect. Then you follow the parent's lead. Usually we say, oh, follow the child's lead, right? But now here, this is for us. So we follow the parent's lead, get the parent's perspective and respond to what they say, instead of us telling them what we think, right? Taking turns. So if I share something that I observe, right? Then I say something, then I wait a little bit for them to respond to that, and I see what they have to say. Adjust your language. That's really important. As we go back to one of the first slides, we have a very diverse group of families in our center, so we need to adjust our language, but we also have to be mindful of what I just mentioned about using labels, right? So perhaps, instead of saying speech delay, what could you say? Difficulties to express, to communicate. What else? Concerns. And how does he communicate with you? Does he communicate with you? Instead of saying, I think your child has a speech delay. Right? That's quite a little bit tough, right? And we're learning. All of us are learning. I'm not, like, we're not all perfect. I'm sure that I've said it sometimes. I'm not 100% sure, but we're learning that the language that we use with them is really important. Extend the topic. So strive for 5 on agreement. So you go with the steps. All this doesn't have to happen at one time. This is like a process. So when we say strive for 5 for agreement, perhaps today I'm just gonna talk to them. Does your child communicate with you? Does he have any language? Does he point? What does he do? How do you know what he wants? Then tomorrow maybe, or next week, if you see them again, you do the communication checklist, right? And if that's a lot of no's, then maybe you know what to do next, which is refer to Toronto Preschool Speech and Language. But how we do that, also it could take a couple steps, right? Acknowledging that this is really important, this is great, however, there is a waiting list. It might, they might be talking in 8 months, but they might not, so it will be a good idea to do so. Again, it goes to all that agreement, all that's part of the steps for the agreement. Explore possible solutions. That's the only one that I am more cautious about it, because it takes time. It has to be, especially I go to a lot of early years. I know that those parents are not coming all the time, the same parents. So if you have a registered program like Let's Get Started, Play It Up, Meaningful Milestones, Circle of Play, I don't know, I'm missing many, but those are few. You know those parents for a few sessions. So you can start having a little work plan with them and working with them. And agree on next steps, what I can do for them, what they can do on their own. And for me, this is very important, and I know we will talk briefly, and I know you know this, but the communication checklist. I try to ask the parent, do you want to call? Do you want us to call? Do you want somebody to help you to call? How do you feel? Do you want to ask your partner, or do you want to ask somebody at home? Do you want to take it home, think about it, bring it back? Because it's how we do it. And who's doing what, it's important. Because you might give that to them, but they might take it home and they might decide not to do it because they don't feel comfortable doing it, right? Any questions so far? You're really quiet. Remember, you're not on videotape.
What if you're concerned that the parent may not be able to take the next step because their English language skills may not be sufficient?
That's a great question, and it goes back to, thank you, Dave, to that slide that I talked about diversity. So what do you think we should do?
Find someone who can speak their language.
Perfect. That's one of the solutions. What else?
They have different languages there.
So if it's
the language they have, they can do it in their own language.
So if it's the communication, we can print it in different languages. Hopefully, they will have the language they're looking for. However, if the problem is the intake, the phone call, they also have lots of languages. So it's helping them cross that bridge. And that's why the plan is really important. But also having an interpreter. Some of our agencies have a little bit of extra money separate just for that. And so it's good to ask our supervisors, our coordinators, do we have something like that, or if you're aware. Sometimes we don't use it enough. And we know it's there. So just using that, that services for those parents, it will be great. Thank you, Dave. Anybody else? Do you want to say anything? This is really familiar for all of you, right? Yes?
Yes.
Great. Why I have it here, I'm not saying, oh, you don't know about it. It's I want to emphasize it. And you will, if you have me, if I'm your early literacy specialist, you will hear me saying this over and over, even though I see the posters in your centers, even though we see them in the washrooms, even though we've seen them everywhere. This is really important because we see children, a lot of children who say, no, my child never had the 18-month checkup, and he's 20 months. If he's 20 months, he should have done it. He should have had it. So they have the right to request for it. And this is a crucial checkup that is really important because you know the 18-month age, it's really important for development. We can do a lot in the system if we have this in place in a really well organized way. So if our doctors are doing, our families are accessing that. So you can call public health, you can go online to ask for a lot of these posters. I was asking this morning at one of my programs too, and I say, did you get boxes and boxes of this? I want to get boxes and boxes so we can give it to the families, or maybe little pads that we can give to the families, because this is really important. And the manual talks about the 18-month checkup and how important it is. We didn't have that before, but we have it now. And we need to educate our parents that they can have at least 20 minutes, half an hour with the doctor instead of 3 minutes. They should have done, the nip is in there. But we need to tell them that they can ask for it. So what I do is in every single baby program I go, when I do a workshop, I mention this. Yes, baby program 10 months, still 9 months far. Doesn't matter, 10 months far, doesn't matter, but as long as you always mention it, okay? Have it, anybody who has not seen this before? Good. So now to move for screening tests and tools is when you're going to get more work in your tables or in your groups. I just thought that I will read the definition that the manual has for a screening tool. You will find this in the glossary, and it's like this. Screening test tool, part of the process of examining children who might be at risk for development delays or other special needs. Procedures that can include a test of physical exam given by professionals or questionnaires done by early childhood professionals, parents or caregivers, Because we know that sometimes the parent gets the Nipacine to take home. And if they have the doctor, like I have for my kids, the doctor does it every year. He gives it to me and says, bring it back if you have any concerns, right? So it can be done by parents or ECE or any parent. A screening test is the first step of an assessment and is sufficient by itself to diagnose. And this is really important, very important. Doctors do not diagnose by one screening tool. They do way more than that. And we need to tell parents that. We are not diagnosing. We are not labeling the child. If the test shows a need for follow-up, qualified professionals can refer the child for other tests or observations, like the Nipacine screen that we are talking about. And now Sophia is going to give us another definition that we found. Sorry, Sophia.
Two. Yeah. So these other definitions are from the website On Track that Maria will be talking a bit more at the end. And their definition is screening is only a first step in identifying red flags and informing whether a more thorough assessment is advisable. Screenings help ensure that children and families who need a full assessment receive one, and if necessary, are referred to skilled professionals who are best able to provide service and or intervention.
Any questions about those definitions? We just thought that we will bring two different ones, not just the one in the manual, so for you to see that. And as we've been mentioning, I'm going to show the On Track later. So we're going to start now with some of the screen tools.
So this is the Toronto Preschool Speech and Language Checklist, and I'm sure all or many of you have seen it, probably have used it. So we're just quickly touch base on this. So Toronto Preschool is from birth to age 4. These are done with parents or by ECEs, as previously stated by Maria. And it's a great door opener to start talking about development with the parents that you work for.
I just want to mention something that recently we heard, we have not get confirmation on that, but I've heard from many people, the public health department, the early years department got trained by Toronto Preschool to do workshops or presentations in the OACIC nodding over there, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the nurses, a particular group of nurses, because it's so hard to get the speech pathologists to go to all of our programs, unless you have them in your office, right? That it's easier. But for those of us or you that don't have them right there, and you can ask them to come, now we know that public health it's doing that more and more so. So if you don't know this, my recommendations is ask your public health nurse that visit and do the baby program, the baby and me program, and the healthy baby, healthy eating program. All of those, I'm sure they will have that information. If we hear from the source that we ask by next week, I will let you know for sure. Okay?
Well, Maria, they can just call the 338-7600 number.
338
76.
7600 and ask for it.
Yes.
Getting started with communication. So my sources were not wrong. So we've heard that this is happening more and more for the family. One day workshop. This is all for family resource programs, OAYC, so parenting and family programs.
So now we're going to go through the Nipacine developmental screen. This is the one that everyone is pretty used to. So the Nipacine District Developmental Screen, I'll just refer to it as NDDS because it's much shorter, is an innovative developmental checklist that follows a child from 1 month of age to 6 years old. It provides a snapshot of the child's overall development to discuss with parents. The simple one-page checklist also features a detachable sheet of activities for enhancing a child's development. And we'll go through in one more slide. So this is the new piece that came out this year. So it's called the Nipissing District Developmental Screen Plus. So
Have you seen it?
no.
Yes, put your hands up if you've seen it. So that's what I'm talking about. It's been in the website for quite a few months. So we thought it would be great to bring it here. This is the summary. It looks like this. So it's quite different than the one that we're used to. But also, you will see lots of pictures like this. So when the children get a no in one specific area, there is more questions to add. So Sophia will explain that in a minute.
So first we're just going to show you a snapshot of how to get the NDDS Plus. So you just go to their website. They actually don't even have the old one, the one page anymore. So once you open up the screen, it gives you a map of Canada. You just select your province and then it'll take you to this page. You have to register with your email address and you just register at the top to get the free versions because this is free and it's accessible for all families and professionals. It comes in only 5 languages, so we have English, French, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. And they say they're creating numerous more in lots of different languages. I'm not sure when it's going to be out, but they are in the process of creating those. So you can get those 5 languages for free, and it all comes in a big package that we'll show you today what that package actually looks like.
So just to mention cautiously here, because we did this while we were planning, and we register, you ask for the age group you want, so say 18 months, you give your email, they will send to you the PDF. It takes a while. We thought we were doing it wrong, so we did it again. And we did it again, and we did it again for half an hour, and we got like quite a few emails with all of them.
60
It
emails.
takes 15 to 20 minutes to get back to you, so it's not like automatically reply. It takes time, so just wait.
If you ask for it in multiple languages,
Oh.
it also comes multiple times.
Multiple
So
times.
we have
so
like
yeah.
60 of them, I think.
We have quite a
between
few.
the 2 of us.
If you need it, it's easy to save because it's PDF. So as soon as you open your email, you open the package, you save it and just put a folder for the Nipissing and you have it there forever. What we did is what we printed cardstock, the website, so it's easy for you to access the On Track and the Nipissing Plus. So I'll give that to you after.
Okay, so now we're going to go through the Plus. So the NDDS Plus was designed to accompany the NDDS and make it more accessible and easier for parents to understand. So we're just going to highlight right now the differences and how it makes this much easier for parents to understand and to work with the parent at the same time. So they are now 1 question per page. So you have a full page for 1 question. And it's easier, it has a picture, and it uses quite simple language to make it easier for, there we go, Nana. And that's just the 1 page. The print is very large and it's plain language. They recognize that all families come from different literacy skills, and so they made it quite simple language, big pictures, to help with that. Yeah, that page. Yeah. So they've also, the pictures were a little bit more complicated.
You will see it in a minute closer.
On the old forms, these pictures are large, they're very simple, not much is happening. You can see exactly what they're asking and that's it. There's no other things to complicate the picture. And it comes with the 2nd page. So the 2nd page has a little box here with developmental markers telling you exactly what part we're actually looking at. There could be just communication, or you could be looking at a lot of different pieces with gross motor, fine motor, communication, problem solving. It could all just be in that 1 question that they're looking at. So they're just letting you know exactly what we're looking for. And then it has another box on top. This box, you'll all see it. It's called Things to Look For, and there are additional questions that are provided to help parents understand the items. Because sometimes when a question is asked, they're not sure what you're asking. So when a parent says no, you have other questions to look at, to ask, that is testing like the same skill, but worded differently, or it's a different activity that they can do, and so then it would be a yes.
And a good example, should I give them the example of the apartment or no? You know the activity, the apartment? No.
Oh, no.
I will leave it that for the end. Sorry,
She's
I was going to
jumping
give an
ahead.
example, but then I will tell you what you're going to do. But this was done, and when we were reading why was this developed, it's to help parents with language. And diversity is quite obvious in this, because a lot of parents will say no, and it's not a no, it's that maybe we don't do that. And so this is why it's so important, and the detail in this.
And the last page is an illustrated summary page, which is where you score the yes, no. It contains, Maria showed it quickly earlier, all the numbers, the questions, and the pictures. So it's just another summary page so you can see where the no was and where you can work on from there. Yeah. So this is just nice and big for you. So this is what it looks like. It comes in color, which is nice. And so this is just the question, that the page, and then this is the second page that's right after it that will ask 2 questions. Sometimes it gives a suggestion on how to practice that skill. One of them is with a cup, how to drink from a cup. But sometimes they're not provided the opportunity, or the cup is too big so they can't grab it, so they suggest using smaller cups, smaller handle, to work your way to using just 1 cup. And then here it shows the markers that you're looking at. For this one question, there's 4 markers you're looking at, which is really great. And there is the page where you mark your yes or no, the summary page.
So what I did, and what we were talking about this, it's you can laminate everything. Right? They call it laminate everything, excepting the one page where you answer, right? Because that's something that you want to give back to the families, right? And if they want the others, then you can make copies, black and white copies.
So now we're going to do a little group activity just to try and test out the plus, how it works, so you become a little bit familiar with it. So we created scenarios that are very specific to the age group. So 2 people will be the family, and 2 people will be administering the screen or talking with the family. So everybody will get a piece of paper, the parents actually, or the family will get the piece of paper, and you will answer the screen. All the questions, the blurb about your child is basically the screen, so you will be able to answer all of the questions.
Learning the pages of the book one at a time. Find over skills from yes. Right? Yeah. Show affection with words and actions. With words? No words. But she doesn't have any words. So how do we use it? Because he gives lots of help to everyone and the joy.
He gives sounds and gives
One question, say language. It's the one that you are concerned, or the gross motor, right? Then you go into the section where is the gross motor, more questions about the gross motor to identify if it's because they have an and it's not necessary or she's not developing the skills needed, right? So that's when you will see, because the questions will be more detailed what the this is the first time, so and I'm going to ask those questions? No, necessarily. You're going to ask the regular NDDS and this is an enhancement to go deeper into specific notes that were there. Because you know when you say, oh, 3 notes is a concern or 4 notes is a concern. So perhaps it's 2, but you have other concerns. This is going to help you to kind of go through those other concerns that you might have that didn't come out with the NDDS, the regular version. So good news, you are not presenting your case. We didn't tell you that before because we didn't want you to. But this was an activity to practice, to get to see this new resource, to get to go through it. And all of you have great questions. So now I'm going to, and Sophia will help me here, we will clarify a few things. This NDDS Plus is not to replace the NDDS screen that we have. This is an enhancement, this is an extra resource we have access to for free, okay? How? So for example, Johnny, one of the 2 or the notes that Johnny had is in the gross motor area, right? I'm just saying Johnny because none of you had a Johnny. And the parents say no, and then you are like, oh, okay. The question was if he climbed the stairs. The parents say no, and the parents say no for another question as well, in the gross motor area. What this tool will do is you don't go and do with Johnny's mom or dad or aunt or grandma or caregiver everything. No. What would you do? Sorry? You go to the section where the notes were, and in that section you will have other questions for gross motor. Why? Because Johnny lives in an apartment and most likely he never had experience with sticks. So that's the answer, and that goes back to the slide that I put right at the beginning of diversity. Plus, this type, the NDDS Plus, is also really important, especially for those programs like Let's Get Started, Meaningful Milestones, Circle of Play, the other programs that you have in your centers that are for children that you or the parents have concerns. There's some red flags. So it's not to go and sit with a parent with 20 pages, 15 pages to go through that, no. And that's what we try to do there too, yeah.
Did you say that the old one's not available on the website anymore?
They just use this scoring sheet now. This is the new.
Okay, so the old one, so what
Something
are
on the
those,
website.
the old one had the tear off part with activities.
You can order it.
Home.
Yeah.
That doesn't come with this package anymore though?
Not with this one. This one is what you get for free that you send to your email,
Okay.
right? When you request, and you don't request, I want 0 to 6, no.
have
You
to send
request
it.
by a specific age.
But you can still order the old one?
They order physical copies, yes. And then there is an agreement for the agencies as well, and most of our agencies, if not all, have that already in their system, that they can print them off, right, for free. So, but this is very clear. We went and we did this research. This is nowhere it says is to replace the other one. However, the only one that they will send to you is this. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay. We still have time for the next week. So, do you want to add something to it?
So another key piece of doing this little activity was so you could also think of what the next step would be. If there was some sort of communication nose or gross motor nose, just to start thinking of what would be next. Not at the same sitting with the parent who they've already done it, but the next time you speak, maybe to plan and then speak about what would be your next step with that family. Whether it be referrals, basically, pretty much it'll be referrals.
So it's like what we went through about what I say, the strategies that I sometimes used about having the Strive for 5 with parents, having different sessions, different communication, different times to go through different processes. And like if you have steps to follow up with this one in particular, you won't just bombard the parent right there. And this is really important aspect to remember. Okay?
So the next,
Let's go.
yeah. So the next tool we're going to talk about is the ASQ3, the Ages and Stages 3. Has anybody used it? Yeah, a couple hands. This is another screening tool that we use that's a little bit more in depth. It's separated, so it's separated into 5 sections. Communication, fine motor, gross motor, personal social, and problem solving, yes. And each section contains 5 questions, and you can answer yes, sometimes, and not yet. And it's scored from 10, 5 to 0. So in the end, you have a whole scoring sheet. Let me just bring one out. I'm not going to go too in depth with this one. This is the 48 months.
This one is also mentioned in the manual, so it's just for you to see what is out there, the ones that we picked.
So you do this with the parent. Early child educators can also administer this. A lot of the daycares, teachers will administer this, and it has little pictures also, and that's one sheet. And this is where you score. It's based on it's a scoring test. So it's based on the numbers, and then you can see around where the child lies, the white, the gray, you need to monitor, and when it's in the dark, a referral should be placed. So this is just another tool that can be used. It takes more time than the NDDS and more of a relationship with the parent because it goes a little more in depth to more personal things. So that is the ASQ3, and this is the website that you can, so the ASQ3, it's not free, it costs money, but some doctor websites will have it, so if you're lucky to find them for free, it's great. If not, you can order them from their website. And it comes with a book, a manual on how to use it, a CD, and you get 1 copy from 0 to 16 months.
Okay, so now we are going to allow you to explore some of the toolkits. But before, we're going to show you.
So on the website, you can also purchase their made kit, as you'll need a lot of material to administer this screening tool. It costs $359 plus tax. So, I'm a colleague, we made our own. So we made our own kits, which cost $110, much cheaper. So we have in our OEYCs and also our daycares, and basically that's it. We have them in these bins. It's all numbered for months. So if you're doing an ASQ of 20 months, these are the bag numbers you'll need. All set, all the materials right there for you. We also have a lot of programs where you need to travel. Yes? Are you selling those kits?
Can we? Not yet. That's a smart answer.
It took me like
Forever.
It took me a month to actually order it all.
We're doing ASQ clinics in Davenport.
Yeah.
Going to get started over here. And we haven't been using resources up till now. And for the most part, we've been able to get through the ASQ from parents' knowledge and experience. But this is really, really great. Because we saw that kid too, and we're like,
We can
this
afford
is
it.
really great. Or even if you'd be willing to share a list of what's inside, or anything like that might be really helpful to all of your community and friends. Just use
So-
yeah.
We have to look 2 ways. I have to look over there.
No,
My
no,
supervisor, we have to look over here.
This is really excellent. So kudos
Thank you for
to
being here,
you.
Sherry.
This is really great to your agency and the stuff that you're doing. This is a good resource that other folks can build onto.
It does take a very long time. It took me a month to even like find all the materials, separate it all. So we also have agencies that, we also have groups in our organization that travel, like myself. And we have our family education support team, home child care. And so we also purchase for these travel bags, which there's one over there. And we also put the bags in there.
So this is the magic.
Yeah. So all the material in the box, it says exactly the same in the carrying case, the wheelie. And I have all the information, so we'll see. Yeah.
We will consult and let you know for
Sure
sure.
to put you on the spot. I was
No,
just saying
no,
it's
don't
very
be
great.
sorry. I think that's a great question, but we weren't prepared for that.
No, I wasn't prepared to see this.
So now what you're gonna do is we're gonna put the kids on the table and please take them out, explore them, take pictures if you want.
Could I just, Marianne, could I just make a comment about that?
Yes.
Just for people that are looking for it, I think it's also okay to use things in a child's environment too.
Yes.
So you can use those ideas, but there's ways to supplement the items. Because there is a whole school of thought now about interventions that go into the child's home
Yes.
that not to bring a bag of toys.
Right.
To use what it's there.
Because it's more important to use what the child has available. Because you're bringing those toys and then they don't have them to practice with.
Absolutely. And that's a great point. And what Sophia did, you will see some of the items are not identical as the ones that are suggested, are being versions that have been adapted or we find better that the ones that originally come with the kids. So I think that's a great point. Yeah.
I was just saying, something this is really great because we're doing our clinics at our community health center. So I'm doing them in exam rooms where there's not anything. So something like this, depending on the environment where you're facilitating the screening, to be able to have something like this or to purchase it's really great. Because like you said, if you're doing home visits, you're going, depending where you're going, sometimes you have those resources or their resources, and sometimes you don't. So something like this is really great.
It also gives you the opportunity to prepare beforehand. And sometimes I'm going to a child care center and I want to do the ASQ, but I can't find a book that has the specific things that I think that they can point out. I just need to grab the bags and go. And it just simplifies it a little bit more. But you never know where you're going through. Yeah. So Maria's passing me all this stuff.
Dressing doll going around here. Oh, it's bag number 7.
I don't know, maybe they use a different thing.
Just for the 5
Are we ready to continue? We're almost to the end. Ready? Okay. So what do you think about the kids? Yes.
I guess one of the things that I was thinking is that if you're using it multiple times, just one of the things like sanitary wipes or anything that might have been included.
Absolutely, yes. And it goes with the process that your agency, the policy you have for sanitation, like sanitizing the toys and all that. But thank you for saying that. There are a few things that I heard, a few comments. For example, with the scissors, the left-handed having both. There are a few things, and as you know, this is work in progress. And but it's good that you are looking at all those details, things that how to enhance the kit. Okay, thank you. So now the last part, couple things to mention before we go that I promised is to show you this resource from Best Start. How many of you have seen it? Put your hand up. So not many of you. And it's not new, right? It's a wonderful, wonderful resource. It's this big. But you can print it. And you can print by section if you don't want the whole thing. But everything in it, including school readiness, everything is in here. And the resources at the end, the websites are really, really wonderful. I use it a lot, and I recommend it, and that's what I printed in your little cards that I gave you with the NDDS Plus, the website, because I think it's something that, since you're in this workshop that to support including children with special needs, you should be aware that this exists, and it's wonderful. And a lot of people put a lot of work into it, so please help yourself and use it as it's free, and I like free stuff. So all are the sections that you will see in there, and they will be guided like this. It doesn't have a cover or anything. When you click on the PDF, it will print just like this. You can print it in color if you want, but you don't have to. So on-track guide, developmental health. So it goes through the sections: children's development, school readiness through play, safety and well-being. Supporting parents and professionals. That's when we took the quotes out about diversity, about inclusion, and all that. And local information. They have a lot of local information there, including the NDDS, including the ASQ, including city kids, connectability, community living is there too. So all of it that we are looking at and that we need for the work we do, it's in here too. Screening tools, again, as I mentioned, references and how to contact them, but you can just print them.
The website for this one is?
The On Track, it's right here. So you got the little, you don't have it? Do you have it? Okay, so it's the first one. But if you Google On Track, that's the first thing that will come up. I've Googled it many times, it's the first thing in there. And if you go to Best Start resources, it's not just this. There is another workshop that I did, I think it was last year, and some of you, not most of you, were there too. It's about healthy baby, healthy brain development. That's a wonderful, and I always promote it. It's a DVD, and the videos are online, and it's from Best Start as well. And you can use them anytime. The parents can go and use them anytime. And all the early years got the little packs from the ministry, from Best Start, to give to the parents, right? Oh, this is how it looks, the website. So once you go here, you press enter, and this is how it looks. And then you click if you want just the one section or the full document. It doesn't take long, it takes probably 30 seconds to download. Okay. And again, this is what you heard twice already, one over there, the first time here. When you go to connectability, this is all the information that you will get there. I was there yesterday just to make sure it worked before I say it here today, because I like to try things before I advertise them. And I was impressed with the videos from the Let's Get Started training, and I said, wow. Now we don't have to go to the training anymore, it's right there. All this information is right there. So if you didn't get the binder or the Let's Get Started, you can just get it there, save it, print it, save it on PDF and have it on your computer. Now you have the special needs manual there and many other resources in there. So, yes?
I just wanted to say with the ASQ, you don't actually have to go and order them, the checklist, if you just Google them, you'll be able to find them online.
Oh yeah?
Thank you. We can say that, but you say it, so it's okay. Yes, yes. As she said, if you go to certain doctors' websites, sometimes you can find it. You can find it. These days you can find many things online.
Anything.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is how the home looks like, and that's it. Thank you.